When I found out that Chase was a filmmaker, I was really excited. I was going to be meeting someone that had the same interests as me, who probably was sort of into the same things that I was into.
I totally agree. I think
we have these pictures that you drew, that your mom gave us. What do you think looking at them now?
that was a really clear image because that was the moment I was going back into battle, and I was walking up a hill on a path, and a horse and a cannon kind of crossed my path. It was kind of a real moment of going back to a place I didn't want to go. And this was interesting to the historian that took a look at it. These have actually been things that have helped to validate the story. I described my death as I saw it in that life, as I saw it, which was, okay, you know, I'm here on the ground looking into a battle, and suddenly I'm not, you know. And it was actually, I remember thinking and remarking that it was almost like a jump. It was like, I'm there, and now I'm above, you know, and it was like kind of a rise above, you know, almost like a shot at the end of the movie where, you know, you reveal the setting. I'm less concerned with the story of the Civil War soldier, and more concerned now just with, I guess, how I benefited in having certain questions answered for myself at an early age. And I think if I could say that there was one thing that the experience has carried over into my young adult life, is just kind of that base of, like, I kind of decided early on what happens after you die. I already believe that reincarnation exists, that I have lived before and I will live again. Everyone has, and everyone has done it many times.
What I found really intriguing about Chase's story were a lot of things that are really similar that I've gone through. Very visual, images.
When I was a child, I had vivid dreams of walking up a path beside a monastery. Years later, when I visited the monastery of my previous incarnation in Tibet, it was exactly as I had dreamt.
After Chase had his experience it began in 1988, I started investigating these memories in children and found that a lot of children had spontaneous past life memories. In other words, these memories just come out of the blue in children under the age of 5 without any prompting from an adult. In fact, most of these parents hadn't believed in reincarnation, didn't want to believe in reincarnation because it went counter to their religious beliefs.
Children will sometimes come out with things when they're very small. They're actually based on their imaginations. And in the West, we might dismiss them as being, say, imaginary friends or whatever it may be. In a different context, they may well be taken as being evidence of some kind of actual past life memory. And once that idea has been planted, then it can grow into kind of quite an elaborate false memory on the basis of the parents quite naturally trying to find out more details and maybe prompt the child, etc., etc.
A lot of times when children have a fantasy, the story changes. They embellish it, they change it, they mix it up. But the past life stories are very consistent, and they can remain consistent for several years. And Chase had never been exposed to anything about the Civil War because I was a stay-at-home mother. We had very strict television policy. I certainly wasn't into history or Civil War history at all. It wasn't only the details that Chase remembered, it was the way he described it from the first-person perspective with the appropriate emotions. You know, he wasn't offering a glorified version of war. He was very sad, confused, and feeling guilty about being there.
When we look at those cases, those spontaneous memories that children sometimes come up with in cultures where reincarnation isn't generally accepted, then I think that is quite a challenge to skeptics to try to explain what's going on there. I think Sherrie Lee's case is interesting because obviously the person that she claims to be reincarnated is a very, very glamorous person. And I mean, you'll typically find that, not always by any means. Now that in itself, I think, is indicative that this is playing some kind of psychological role, it's got a psychological function.
The truth of the matter is that out of 5,000 cases I had over 30 years, they were just, even on the fingers of one hand, I cannot count them that were celebrities. So the rest were John Doe and Jane Doe.
So, you know, if Sherrie Lee's case was real, they can prove it and something came out, it would be completely groundbreaking. So I started to consider that after a while. What if this is real? And what if she is? This is huge. This is amazing. This could be something that really changed the entire way that Western culture approached the idea of reincarnation.